Hello, this is Ann Lipset, and this is my pitch for my second story. The logline is a 15-year-old gay boy tries to bust his friends and boyfriend out of a convergence camp before they are sacrificed to a hyper-religious cult. Opening image, Terrence, which is the name of the boy. He tries to escape using a cross with an edge that he cut. He kind of like shanked an edge at the end of the cross above his bedroom door. He hammers it against the wall, much to his sleeping roommate / his boyfriend Matt's dismay. The theme that his boyfriend Matt says as he's trying to shiv his way out: "It's no use. No one as stubborn as you can escape from St. Colleen's convergence camp, and one man can't defy God's will." Remember? The setup. One of the workers at the convergence camp finds Terrence trying to drill a hole in his wall with a cross. He sends him to what is solitary confinement, and Terrence settles into it without a fight. We can tell he's been there many, many times before. The next morning, he meets with the leader of the camp, Mr. Hosgood, who tells Terrence his escape will no longer be tolerated, and he'll have to stay in solitary confinement until he learns how to behave himself. He assures Terrence that he won't be leaving this camp until his ungodly urges leave him. Terrence goes to an anti-gay pep rally where he tells his boyfriend, Matt, that he'll be moving from their room to solitary confinement, and he has a plan to escape from there. Not only Matt, but all the other boys roll their eyes, and they say Terrence has never been successful. Terrence is very stubborn, and he is very thick-headed, but he still believes that there's a way to escape, and he's really motivated by his love for Matt, his boyfriend, which it'll be clear that they're boyfriends. And he just doesn't want to give up. Catalyst. Terrence and the boys go on with their day. Oh, no. I'm sorry. This is the catalyst. At the anti-gay pep rally, Mr. Hosgood announces that the camp will be partnering with a group called Easton Church of the Good Shepherd. And they're trouble. You'll find that out soon. The debate. Terrence and the boys go on with their day, wary of the new partnership. Terrence and Matt secretly kiss in the bathroom after the meeting, so it's extra clear to the audience that they're together. And while they do this, Easton, the new group, is hosting an event about how homosexuality is wrong. Then the leader of Easton, Nick, discovers Terrence and Matt kissing in the bathroom and sends the pair to the punishment room. The head of Easton, Nick, as I said before, along with Mr. Hosgood, the head of St. Colleen's, takes the boys to the punishment room and beats them with a paddle. They make the boys recite Hail Marys and force them to write 1,000 times each, "Homosexuality is a sin." The leaders punish the boys all day, denying them food and water. At night, they escort them to their separate rooms, assuring that things will never happen again. They assure that the couple will be separated at all times. But then the break into two happens, and Terrence writes a note to Matt that says, "We have to get out of here no matter what. We have to find a way." Terrence just really thinks that the punishment was too much and he can't take anymore. He really is catapulted into action by that. Then he sneaks it under Matt's door without being caught and returns with solitary confinement. The B story, which is also kind of the love story between Matt and Terrence. Matt discovers the note and realizes how much he misses Terrence. Terrence cries into the locket with Matt's picture in it. He vows to get them out so they can be together. So it's just extra motivation for the story, for them to get out. And fun and games. Terrence begins to hatch a plan to escape in solitary that night. And then he goes to breakfast, sleep-deprived the next morning. He runs his plan by some other boys. He develops it with some other boys, including Chris, who's a former military cadet. He tries not to attract attention to himself. Terrence doesn't. But at recreation time, we find out that the mission involves the boys setting the building on fire. But first they have to find matches, since they were all stripped of their personal belongings when they first arrived. We get the backstory of a pair of twins, Lewis and Clark, who are very smart and help Terrence with the logistics of the plan, like what time of the day is best to go, the square footage of the building, everything like that. Terrence explains that Mr. Hosgood has a lighter in his office because he always lights a candle for God before going to bed, and Terrence has noticed this. Terrence plans to have Chris sneak off into his office to retrieve the lighter, and they can go forward from there. Terrence tells Chris to relay the information to Matt since they can't see each other. Terrence is missing Matt all the while. That night before bed, Terrence goes over the plans to steal the lighter with Chris. Chris goes into Mr. Hosgood's room and steals it without him noticing, but finds out something awful, leading us into our midpoint. While stealing the lighter, Chris overhears that Mr. Hosgood is going to ship the boys off to Easton, off to their headquarters in 2 days, where they will be sacrificed by the religious cult that Easton is. Number 10, bad guys close in. The next morning at breakfast, Chris delivers the bad news to Terrence, and Terrence decides that they have to get a move on the plan ASAP. He assembles Lewis and Clark during recreation time, and they plot how to leave tonight. The plan involves stabbings from the cross that Terrence cut in the beginning and sneaking off in all hours of the night, subsequently setting the building on fire. During an anti-gay seminar, Terrence tries to pass notes to Matt about his role in the escape plan. They are able to pass notes back and forth, but are caught by Nick, the head of Easton, and each are apprehended and taken back to not the punishment room, but the test room. On the way over, Nick says he's going to test the sacrifice method, which is what they would do to the boys at Easton, which involves boiling the boys alive in hot water. All is lost. The two boys are in the test room, despite the fact that they are about to be boiled alive. They hold hands because they have a very strong love for one another. Dark night of the soul. The boys are carried off into the test room where Mr. Hosgood and Nick are tying them to plan. Mr. Hosgood, the head of St. Colleen's, and Nick, the head of Easton, are tying them to planks that they'll be lifted down into boiling water. Terrence and Matt continue to hold hands while this is happening. Terrence tells Matt that he loves him despite everything and doesn't regret being in the camp because they never would have met. They cry together, and Mr. Hosgood lectures them about how being gay is a sin punishable by death. Finale. Okay. Gather the team. Chris notices that the two of them have been gone all night and enlists the help of the other boys to go find them, saying that Terrence never gave up on them. Why should they give up on him? Chris, Lewis, and Clark and the other boys come armed with the lighter, and they try to find the test room. Storm the castle. After searching around, Chris and the boys find the test room and use their force to barge in, much to the delight of Terrence and Matt, who are about to be lowered down. Chris beats up Mr. Hosgood physically, and Nick. As the other boys untie Terrence and Matt, the boys start to flee the test room. High power surprise, but Terrence realizes that this isn't over, and he takes the lighter from Chris and sets Mr. Hosgood's hair on fire. He falls, but doesn't stumble into the boiling water, yet his hair is extinguished from his fall. Dig down deep, the boys panic, but then they realize they all have to fight for their freedom. If they don't, they will be killed. Terrence, while holding Mr. Hosgood down with his leg, reminds them it's the final time to stand up to these men. Execution of the new plan. The boys work to lift Mr. Hosgood up into the boiling water. He dies once they do. Before the boys leave, they tie Nick down and set the room on fire. They escape quickly as the building goes down in flames around them. They are free. Closing image. Terrence and Matt kiss with the camp burning behind them. They have escaped. Thank you. I hope you'll consider my movie.